Hello and welcome along to this latest episode of Cali Corner. It's just going to start today's episode with a bit of public service announcement. It's just to say that I've actually set up a Patreon now, patreon.com/Cali Corner. A lot of you will be familiar with Patreon. I'm effectively looking to crowdsource the production costs behind producing the podcast here. So if you can afford it and you enjoy what I'm doing here, then please do consider heading over there. It's been set up at the sort of default value, which is $5, because I didn't know how to change it, to be honest, but that might change in the future. But as I say, if you would be interested in helping with production costs, then please do head over to patreon.com Cali Corner, where you can sign up. I'm also looking to use that as like a vehicle to maybe see who people would be interested in coming on as a guest, and maybe setting the agenda for some of the conversation. And when I've got guests confirmed, I'm happy to sort of say this is who's coming on, and you can suggest and put questions to them as well through that forum. So that's the idea, that's the pitch. If you'd be interested, then please do head on to patreon.com/Cali Corner, as I say. And thanks for all the support so far, I really do appreciate it.
2016, I was on a reality show called Ultimate Hell Week. It was trying to rival the SAS with their wins. It was 6 different world special forces. First 48 hours was with South African recce's, and then if you passed that for us, it was the Polish Grom, it went on to the US Navy SEALs, it went on to the South Korean SEALs, which was 80% water, and then it went on to kind of like a French special forces type thing, and then it was Australian SAS. I got to the South Korean SEALs. I would say the best experience was probably with the South African recce's, actually, in the first couple of days. They were really phenomenal. I remember Clinton Agnew, he was just so matter of fact, and I'd never been exposed to anything like that. You had no control, you didn't know what was going on next. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't an itinerary or running order saying this is what's going to happen in the South African recce's. Do you know what I mean? They all had a very similar mindset, give 100%.
Hello, Grant Flynn, welcome to Cali Corner, mate. I really appreciate you coming in to do this.
Thank you, how are you? You alright?
No, doing good, mate, doing good. You came through for Peebles today, I believe.
No, I came from Edinburgh.
Oh, right, I thought you were doing at the borders.
No, I was doing in Newcastle, living in Newcastle. Circumstances have changed, not going to go into it too much. We bit personal now, but moving forward, I've moved back to Edinburgh, so I'm now working as a Binman Bob again.
Oh, you're back to the bins?
Back in the Ninja Binman, I'm back.
So they've taken you back, so they obviously like you, Grant.
That was alright, aye.
What's it like working on the bins? What do you wish people knew about Binmen?
You've got the green bins and the big bins, and the big bins, you clip it on, and the lorry does the job. Our bin crew is recycling. So basically it's one big motor with different kind of departments in it, and you're having to run plastic, hand feeding plastic, glass, card, food. So imagine there's a tenement of 20 houses and then there's 200 flats in one bit. You're literally grabbing 200 lots of bags and you're having to run them onto the motor, hand feed them, run them back. So you're shifting a fair amount of weight. That's why I turned around on Channel 4 and said that we were the Ninja Bin Men, because we're running it about like blue-ass fleas, up and down the streets, dragging bins, dragging bags, dragging bottle bins, everything, holding it in, lifting about 2.5 ton of waste, so they're tough gets, put it that way.
I know, I can imagine. So you have to separate it all, because I thought you just fucking chucked it in and then
Nah, it's no a posh bin. It's no everything in the one. Everything's isolated.
So it's like a big fucking Lego set.
It is, mate. And you're blowing at your hoop. I mean, it's pissing rain and it's icy and it's freezing cold. You've got 2 options: suck it up and get on with it, or you get called a wimp, basically. So.
And what about, like, do you think that our bin men and refuse workers, do you think you get the respect that you deserve for like the rest of society?
You get respect for the old gins. They love to give you biscuits. Biscuits and juice, and it's great, or as you call it in Glasgow, ginger. You're getting loads of sweeties. The young yins, they couldn't care. You're just a bin man to them. But to be fair, none of us bother. We just get on with it. You have a laugh. You've got your motor. You know what I mean? You've got your crew. So I'm on truck a lot. In fact, I'm not really on a truck. I was on a truck 10. So Stevie and Callum at the time, they were out. We had quite a good crew. But it's quite territorial. Like, if you're on a truck and they like you, good. If they didn't like you, they're basically telling you we didn't want you on your truck. Oh, so right. It becomes a bit competitive. I didn't think bins would become competitive. You've got to kind of show your worth, and you want to be on a good, because it's job and knock. Do you know what I mean? So once you're done, you're done. So you're working to get the job done. So I would say it's a lot about teamwork, actually. So in respect to it, the serious side of it is you've got to have each other's back all the time. Do you know what I mean? If one's getting lazy, you're telling each other to, in a humorous way, to shift your arse and get into gear, because we're all wanting him. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Aye, did the bins, do you have like names? You know how they've got like different names for the gritters? Is that
No.
the same for the bins yet? No.
Nah.
I feel like that would be up your street, Grant, no?
For naming the bin.
Aye.
Naming, I didn't care what we'd call it. Well, I was nicknamed the muscle hamster. So we could call it the hamster mobile, or the big hamster. I don't know. We could. Well, what do you think a bin lorry could be called?
Oh, you put me in a spot there.
The shite bucket.
The jolly lorry or something.
The jolly lorry.
Aye, something like that.
Nah.
What rhymes with lorry?
Lorry. Nah. Right, let's put it out there in the comments. Name the lorries for the bins in East Lothian where I work.
We're wanting this done. Edinburgh Binman, get back to us. Or Glasgow Binman, wherever you work in.
Aye, exactly. All bin men, name your lorry.
Is there bin women? Is women starting?
I've never seen a bin woman, and I'm sorry if that sounds no diverse. I've seen one female driver, and I'm bugger it'll put it out there. She didn't last 10 minutes because she was freaking out, and that's no a reflection on women drivers. Just it's unfortunate this woman driver was crap, and it ended up that we all had to go and help this motor, and she didn't get a very popular reception. So basically, she couldn't do a reverse because she was freaking out that she'd crashed the lorry, and she was agency. But I felt sorry for her because we all had to go out. So basically, we'd all finished our job, and this one lorry was taking ages to get finished because this woman could not drive. Reversing, I mean, I can't drive, so I really can't comment, but she was shite, put it that way. And so if there's women out there, good luck, because I remember walking up to the yard when I first started. I was working at Edinburgh University, Edinburgh Leisure, teaching fitness prior to COVID. COVID kicked in. Was teaching online, done fitness classes online on Facebook for free. Done 500 free classes, actually. And then put a wee Just Giving page, said if people want to donate, but that's the last time I'm saying it. So we'd done that, 500 free classes, and then after that I thought, I need to pay bills. So I went in the bins. And then I was only there about a year. And then I left, down to Newcastle, and then I went back to the bins. So I've got to show, I can't remember where I was going with that, but I've got to show my worth now, you know what I mean? I've got to make it up now.
Because you left?
Because I left,
you're the prodigal son, are you?
Aye, I was getting called sick, no, I was told I was off too much, so...
No, that's good. And I'm presuming your fitness background obviously helps you.
Oh, aye. I still training as well. I think a lot of them I think there was nutters. And prior to the show, actually, prior to SAS Who Dares Wins, I was running to work and cycling back, or running in or cycling in and then running back. And then I was training, doing boot camps with a guy called Junior Burton, down in Wallingford. So I was training all the time, then I was running at his boot camps. But in a sense, the bins in itself was enough. Aye, holding loads of waste into him. It was just physical, you know what I mean? It was labour intensive, and it was constant. And you can't get away from it. Do you know what I mean? It's either do the job or didn't do the job. You either want to be there or you didn't want to be there. So I took it upon myself, and I was wearing sauna vests underneath my PPE, trying to sweat. And a couple of times, quite a few times I was wearing my weighted vest whilst I was on the run as well. So I just used it all as fizz. So it's a physically demanding job. So if you want to lose a few pounds,
get on the bins. And we're looking for females or wanting to make this.
That's what we're going on about. We're wanting females as well. We want to make it a more diverse workforce.
You getting fucking paid for this, Grant? You're on a recruitment drive for Edinburgh Council. If
you're a shite bag, then you go, because I'll tell you now, when that's what I was going on about, actually. When I went up to the yard the first time, I was working at Edinburgh Uni, that's where I was going with that. Up at Edinburgh Uni, and it's all very high five and woo, kind of cool, nice eclectic vibe. Very nice. Edinburgh Leisure, all very nice environments. And you walk up to what looks like a quarry, and it's pitch black, 4th of January, freezing cold, and I'm walking about with this super cool attitude, and they're all smoking their fags, looking like, I was like, nah, where am I? I was bricking it, because it was quite an intimidating environment, and you're trying to fit in, and it's like, it's no Edinburgh Uni now. Do you know what I mean? It's no this kind of eclectic diverse, so let's all high five like high school sort of stuff. It was intense. And then you kind of work your way in, you gain a wee bit of respect, and the banter was next level. That's the one thing I do like about the bins. You've got to have thick skin. Unlike Edinburgh or the gym industry, I don't keep going on about Edinburgh Uni, but the gym industry, I would say it's a very artificial world, the gym industry, actually. But at the same time, it's quite nicey. You know what I mean? You've got to know your limit. You've got to know your filter. Whereas on the bins, there's no filter.
It's probably part of that, though. I was thinking about that. You know, these guys have been probably doing the job for a long time. They'll have seen folk like you and coming through all the time. You know what I mean? Just there thinking, I'll stroll through this, but it's a very physically demanding job as you're sort of making it. So that's probably just part of the training. Like,
that's it.
You need to have a thick skin and you're not going to last here.
Nah. You want to be there or you didn't. If you didn't want to be there, bums out.
I'm not, like, it would be a tough job for me. I don't know if I'm cut out for manual labour. Like, I'm a bit lazy, if you're honest, Grant.
Let's get a documentary, a day on the bins.
Aye, well,
a YouTube documentary. We'll get you dressed up like a Teletubby in the orange PPE.
No, I don't know about that. I'm not fucking doing it in January anyway.
Aye, no, a day in January, you'll love it. It's like Torval and Dean walking about with boxes, nice, compact, the black ice, and you're skating about the place.
Well, let's see. I know there's obviously big issues in Glasgow at the moment where the refuse workers are kind of in a dispute with the council because I think they're saying that they've made changes to the collection. There's loads of vermin and all that sort of stuff. So I was thinking about maybe getting one of the Unison guys on to sort of talk about this and see what the crack is.
Aye. I think there's a lot of change as well because when we were, for example, doing in North Berwick and stuff like that, there's a lot of holiday lets and a lot of them don't realise. You know what I mean? They think, well, it's only one glass bottle in the plastics, and you're saying, well, it's only one glass bottle in the plastics, but how many properties have done that? So you know what to put your hands into a bag, it's minging. Do you know what I mean? The job is minging. You know what I mean? You can sugarcoat a shite, but a shite's a shite. It's an absolute minging job. You know what I mean? Until you've had food waste juice in your face or stale beer fall over your face when you're tipping plastic, you know what I mean? It's not a very nice job. So when you're talking to these punters that have got their Airbnbs, and they're handing it out to people, quite rightly, to go and see North Berwick, but it's their duty to recycle what waste they've used within the Airbnb. They're not getting told how to do it. So the glass is in with the plastic, and they're saying, well, just take it. No, we're not doing that. So I think there's got to be a wee bit of education as well. And also, that's trade waste, you know what I mean? That's a business. So they're getting away with wee things, you know what I mean? There's public waste and there's trade waste, and all these businesses are taking liberty, saying, well, you know what I mean? It's only a small property, can we... We'll not use it as trade waste. We'll just use it as... We'll just get the punters that are holding the holiday let out or the room out. They do the recycling, but they're not doing it properly. So then we're having to fucking siphon all the crap out of the bags.
They should be getting charged for that.
Aye, and they're not. Aye. So you don't know what to put your hand in a smelly bag.
Aye. No, that's how I was asking earlier. Like, I wasn't being disrespectful when I was asking about, like, you get this bit, because it is such a critical job, and I think this is one of the things that sort of COVID taught us. Like, I think there should be more respect for refuse workers, in my opinion, because we've seen it, you know, when the bins aren't getting empties, it's chaos. It's a critical job, you know, a skilled job as well. People should be getting paid appropriately for taking on, like you say, like, it's no an easy job today, so it should be rewarded in the terms and conditions, in my opinion. It's
classified as an unskilled job, and that's why you're not paid as much. It's you've not got a university degree, although it's an essential job. Like a nurse is an essential job, but a nurse or a doctor has to go to university. You're not going to Cali University to become a binman, you know what I mean? You're just chucked on a motor, given your training, do you know what I mean? This is how you put a box in the bin lorry and then you're told to crack on. But the reality of it is, look at Edinburgh Council. I mean, I work for a private company that are kind of attached to East Lothian Council. But there's the Edinburgh Council, they went on strike. I mean, you've seen the state of Edinburgh during the festival. It's absolutely minging. It's like Gardyloo. It's back in the day. Absolutely minging. So, is there a need for change? Maybe better wages, better conditions? Probably. But then that takes the men to put their head above the parapet and stop gobbing off and moaning about it and do something about it. And I'm off for that. So...
no, good luck to them. You mentioned SAS, who dares wins stuff, and that's obviously how I sort of seen you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Like,
let's do it.
I want to go behind the scenes, but let's go before it. Like, what was you were obviously presumably a fitness fanatic sort of before you went on the show. So what kind of prep did you do before you went into SAS? Like, what's the pre-show preparation?
So the pre-show preparation for me, I can go back a wee bit further.
Go back as far as you want, mate.
Right, so 2016, I was on we'll call it a show. It was a show, reality show called Ultimate Hell Week, and that was BBC, and it was very similar. In fact, it rivaled, or it was trying to rival with SAS Who Dares Wins, season 2 and season 1.
So SAS Who Dares Wins was the kind of first one?
That was, they all came, in fact, they came out at the same time. BBC Ultimate Hell Week came out, I think, more or less the same time as SAS Who Dares Wins.
Right.
It's just it didn't take off, it flopped, right? So, Ultimate Hell Week, no SAS Who Dares Wins. So, my mate Stevie Kernan, he was on the first season, he mentioned it to me, that they were looking for individuals to do the season 2 Ultimate Hell Week. The only difference between SAS Who Dares Wins and Ultimate Hell Week is it was 6 different world special forces. So the way in which it worked was basically, first 48 hours was with South African recce's, because it was in South Africa. And you spent 48 hours doing very similar tasks to what we'd done on SAS Who Dares Wins. And then if you'd passed that 48 hours, it was the Polish Grom. Polish Grom, it went on to the US Navy SEALs. US Navy SEALs, it went on to the South Korean SEALs, which was 80% water, and then it went on to kind of like a French Special Forces type thing, and then it was Australian SAS. I got to the South Korean SEALs.
Was that the third or fourth?
It was the 4th, aye.
So let's talk about it. And like, what was your you're talking about getting up to the bins and it being intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So you're walking up to the South Koreans, the Polish, the Americans. Like, how intimidating is that? And what was your best experiences when you were working with all the different people?
I would say the best experience was probably with, I would say, the South African recce's actually in the first couple of days. They were really phenomenal. Like, I remember Clinton Agnew, he was our colonial Clinton Agnew. He came out and it was just so matter of fact, and I'd never been exposed to anything like that. You had no control. You didn't know what was going on next. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't an itinerary or running order saying this is what's going to happen in the South African recce's. Do you know what I mean? It was a matter of, this is how it is. So they all had a very similar mindset, give 100%. But at the same time, they all had a different approach. Clinton Agnew, I would say, he did shout. Do you know what I mean? But he expected you to motivate yourself, as you're meant to do on these shows. Whereas the Polish Grom, he didn't shout. It was a matter of, I remember, I fucking fell down this monkey rope. My hands were all cut, and I went to him, can I go and see a medic? And he's turned around and he says, I sit in a dark, cold hole for days, ready to put a bullet in somebody's head. He says, do you think there's a medic there? He went, no. Clinton Agnew, there was a guy that jumped off within the first 10 minutes of the show starting. A guy jumped off the truck, pulled his hamstring. He says, can I stretch? And he, quite rightly, Clinton Agnew turned around and says, do you think you've got time to say to the enemy, excuse me, can I have a quick fag and an orange break and a wee quick stretch? No, it's kill or be killed. Do you know what I mean? That's it. And that was our mentality. So having no control and becoming very overwhelmed and I would say emotionally dysregulated, actually, because you couldn't say to them, sorry, can I have a break? It was a matter of fucking do it, end off.
Just
take order, that's it.
Yeah. Did they push you beyond your limits then constantly? Has that been your sort of theme of the experience?
Yeah, and you were expected to push yourself beyond your own limits. Do you know what I mean? There's always that kind of mentality, 1% more. And I'd always had that expression in my head, can I or can't I? Do you know what I mean? I can. Either way, you're right. Do you know what I mean? Either do you want to do it or you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Pick it. So 9 times out of 10 you can do it. 9 times out of 10 you do want to do it. It's just a matter of, there's that little demon in your head. Now, I lost a little bit of, I wouldn't say it was a physiological element to that Ultimate Hell Week that buggered me. It was that basically what happened was my mother was quite ill. In fact, she was very ill. So there was a lot of things beginning to creep into my head. There was also a moment where we were told go to the shower. So I was picked up. I'd done really well with the US Navy SEALs. I led a team. We'd done well. The team done amazing. We won the task. I was told by this guy called Terry Shapper, ex-Greenberry or something like that, you know, you've done really well. So they were pumping, they were bigging you up. So there was a level of complacency, I would say, on my part, came because I got comfortable with the fact that they told me after about 3 or 4 days of no sleep When you're told you've done well, you're just like, right, I can relax a bit. So we were told, go and take a shower. So I went for a shower, had my gun, put my gun down, had a shower, walked out. What did I forget? My gun. So now I'm getting pumped. So then my morale started going down. I started thinking, I've let everybody down. So then all the little demons started creeping into my head, thinking, well, there's bigger things to worry about than this. And my mum's ill, I should be going home. And they start creeping in. It's because you've no got any control of what's going on next. So
was there a, sorry to cut you off, but
no,
was
of course.
what do they call it, when they punish you basically? Did you get like that?
Oh, aye.
Whatever
The sickeners,
The sickeners.
yeah.
Is that what happened after the gun thing then? Was there a sickener?
Oh, aye, I got 20 minutes of burpees where I will not forget my rifle, I will not forget my rifle. Burpees just constant above my head. And I remember it was Fergie, who was for Glasgow. He was like, just give that wee shite, the dictator, because he called me the dictator because I was making them work. Give him 20 minutes of burpees because all the guys that were on my team got to decide what my punishment was. Oh, a lot of them know what to tell me what my punishment was, whereas Fergie took great delight saying, give him 20 minutes of burpees. So I got apps. So I'd just been for a shower, freshened up, and then I got pumped and I was sweating because South Africa was hot, like mega hot. Not as hot as Vietnam, or it was a different hot. But there was a lot of interesting factors. I would say that the interrogation from SAS Who Dares Wins was much harder. In fact, it was miles harder than the interrogation that went on with Ultimate Hell Week. That went on maybe about 8 or 9 hours, Ultimate Hell Week, whereas the SAS Who Dares Wins, we were kind of on the run and then we were captured I would say about 6 o'clock at night, and then you're still going till 10 o'clock the next again morning. And then you thought you were maybe going to get a wee rest, and then you got pumped with another sickener. So the profound difference and what I learned from Ultimate Hell Week to SAS Who Dares Wins is just take it as it is. You have no control. All control is in the DS's hand. All control is in the show's hand. Do you know what I mean? So no trying to overthink, whereas I was beginning to overthink I thought the fitness was a big part. Fitness was a big part. You had to be fit. And I was fitter on Ultimate Hell Week than I was on SAS Who Dares Wins. Like miles fitter. But where I was mentally for SAS Who Dares Wins was much more fixed. And a lot of people say, you had the advantage. Fucking right, I had the advantage. I'd done it before. Mm-hmm. And I failed it the first time, and I've no qualms about saying that. So yes, I had leverage, and I knew that they were always playing games with you, and just to take it as it is. If you failed, just move on. And that's what they wanted.
So did you ever, like on the first one, did you ever feel like unsafe at any point? Did it get to the point where you thought, I'm going to break something, I'm going to fucking lose a limb? Was there any of that? Like,
I would say it wasn't really I'm going to break a limb. It was more like, for example, the interrogation part of it was a bag over your head, then they're swimming the water over your head, and the fucking thing's pressed against your face. And then they've got you in the stress positions. And then the South Africans, they were loving it. They were smoking their cigarettes and then sticking the smoke up your hood. So you've got the wet pressing against your face, you've got the smoke. And it was that your sensory deprivation. You had no clue where you were. The cable ties were so tight that I remember they ended up, like, they thought, his hands are gone, like, blue. I was like, I can't feel my hand. I can't feel it, so they'd unclip it and redo it. Now, whether that would have happened in the real special, I think they would have just let my hand fall off. But the reality of it is, obviously, they had a duty of care, BBC. But I couldn't feel my hand at one point, do you know what I mean? They unclipped it. I remember they were checking us for hypothermia. And there was a couple of them went down with mild hypothermia. So it was that, like, how far are they going to take this? And we had to sign a waiver with the BBC. If you snuff it, you've chose to do it. Do you know what I mean? If you get really badly injured.
Do you get insurance before you go on a show like that? Or
I'll be honest, I had no idea. I just signed it and went. You were like, fuck it. I didn't read it. I just like, I'm gone. Here we go.
Oh wow, you're a wild man, Grant.
That was mad. I would say the SAS Who Dares Wins was much more. They were on it, like, in regards to responsibility. So Channel 4 were much more. I think they'd learned a lot. I think they'd learned a lot from like all the shows that they'd done before.
Like Big Brother and all that.
Just everything, and the level of responsibility, because I would say safeguarding us as well.
Well, let's do the timeline, because that might be interesting. So you left in the 4th round of this Hell Week, and what year was that? What year was that?
That was 2016.
Right, and then when did you go for SAS Who Dares Wins?
2022.
That's a good bit of time.
And I never thought I'd be able to do it again. So when I got that opportunity, I mean, I was training
6 years.
6 years, and I was absolutely doing everything. So from 2016 up until 2022, I was literally trying to validate that I had the worth of trying to beat to win that Ultimate Hell Week, and I didn't. Do you know what I mean? So you've got the reputation of being the guy that could have won it.
Was there a prize like?
There wasn't. It was the reward day saying I got to the end. These guys that are superheroes, you know what I mean? They're the most decorated, best special forces in the world. You know what I mean? You've proven to them, and they feel, you're not in the SAS. Christ, I couldn't fire a fucking tatty gun. But they feel that you deserve to get to the end. So that 2016 one, you know what I mean? I probably should have went to the end.
Did they pull you out then?
No, I left on my own accord, which I
right.
was gutted about. And I was so annoyed. And that's a big learning curve. See, after it, I thought, what the fuck have I done? What have I done? I should never have made that decision. It was that impulsive moment where I thought, right, I need to be with my mum, I need to do that. And also, I thought, I've came as far as I can go. And I'm never ever going to get that. And I felt like I disappointed a lot of people, because a lot of people expected me to go further. And then you go, but you done really well. And in my head, I'm thinking, I should have went to the end. So to be given that opportunity again, I was coming back in the box, or I was winning it. And that was the difference between SAS Who Dares Wins and Ultimate Hell Week. For me, I had everything to lose, because I wasn't getting beat again.
Presumably, when you apply for the show, there's all sorts of interviews and all that. And so were they asking you kind of psychologically about that experience?
And that's what I was talking about, the safeguarding. We spoke to Ultimate Hell Week. We spoke to one psychologist. I don't even think we did speak to a psychologist before it. Whereas with SAS Who Dares Wins, we spoke to multiple psychologists. And it was on their terms. We spoke to multiple doctors. I had to go down to Harley Street in London and get medical checks. So there was, although they said to you, you're now on it, whilst I was emptying plastic in the bins, Big Joe for Channel 4, you're like, bye, Joe, you've been accepted on SAS Who Dares Wins. Cushty. But at any point we can tell you, until you're on that parade square, we can tell you. So you've got 8 weeks to train. That was it. Up until you fly out to wherever you're flying, which you didn't know. So I didn't know I was going to Vietnam. I got told in the airport. But up until that point, I could have been to the doctors, could have been to the psychologist 2 or 3 times. If they felt there was any reason not to put me on it, it would just take me off. Even when we were in the hotel and I arrived there, we were in 10 days of isolation because of COVID still. And we weren't allowed out our hotel's room. What a shame. Fucking lying about. But the reality of it is at any point they could still pull you.
Because presumably some folk might be hit the bevy or the drugs or whatever in these moments. Just
be arseholes. But you were only allowed 1 hour out a day.
It sounds like you're in the jail for a second.
Basically it was. You know what I mean? In a nice hotel, didn't get me wrong. And food's getting brought to your room. That bit they didn't tell you just before it. But and it was great, but I was getting antsy. I was just wanting to go. I'd done a whole course on jungle navigation, thinking that I was going to have to navigate in the jungle on the internet. So I was using the time to try and decompress, allow my body to rest, fuel up, put a bit of weight on. But the psychologists, and there was psychologists within that show 24/7. You never saw them, but they were always on 12-hour loops. So one would take it for 12 hours, one would take it for 12 hours, one would take it. So there was constantly psychologists, and if they felt at any moment you're going to have a blip or your mental health's gone down the Swanee, they'd pull you out. The doctors, there was Ultimate Hell Week, there was like a hospital that you could go to and get your medic checked out and stuff like that, whereas SAS Who Dares Wins, there was not. If you want to quit. If you've got a broken rib, go to doctor, you can go to the doctor, but he might medically withdraw you. So then you're trying to hide it. Do you know what I mean? So my groin was getting a bit like, So I was offered paracetamol, but that was it. And that was a profound difference. There was no getting manicures with your hands and getting plasters on your hand. There was a medic box, you done it, You had to help each other out. They would give you paracetamol if you wanted it. But that was it. There was no talking to you, there was no talking with the camera team. Whereas on Ultimate Hell Week, you could talk to the camera guys. Whereas SAS Who There's Wins, there was no talking to the camera guys. It was literally you with 20 recruits on your own, deal with it.
So when did you first meet recruits in the airport? Was that
In the airport, but you weren't allowed to talk to the recruits in the airport.
Oh, what? But you were wearing all the gear at that point, weren't you?
No, we were just in our civvies flying out to Vietnam. I remember Kate came up to me and she was like, "Are you Grant?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's your ticket. That's where you're flying." She went, "Do you know where you're going?" I went, "Well, I'll know when I open my ticket." Vietnam. I was like, holy smokes. So the way in which I trained for it was I would be going down to Porty, jumping in the sea, freezing my tits off, trying to get used to cold, which I'm terrible with. So I was praying that it wasn't in the Arctic or something, but I was also training in the sauna with my boots on, and so I was trying to get a mix of both. So I was trying.
Where were you doing your training with the boots?
It was Barrentine's Health Club. I was in the gym just fucking with
Working
my boots on,
fucking-
sauna suit on, cracking out press ups, and they're all looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And then when I was on the bin, I had my sauna suit on. They're all seeing me pissing sweat like methadone Mick for still game, absolutely sweating. But I thought I need to be able to. But when I stepped off that plane in Vietnam, holy shit, it was like stepping into an oven. The only way I could describe Vietnamese heat for anyone that's not been to Vietnam was 40-degree dry heat on top of stepping into a Turkish hammam steam room with piss and rain. And then I'm telling you get your dry kit on, you're like, I've no dry kit because I'm sweating. And then they were just constantly soaking you, chucking you in bogs. And so it was that element of trying to be uncomfortable all the time. As long as you could deal with that uncomfortableness, didn't matter how fit you were, helped to be fit, but as long as you were comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's what I try to replicate on the bins all the time, just trying to be uncomfortable all the time, just putting sweatsuits on, putting, weight vests on, with the boots. I was lucky I wore steel toe cap boots all the time, so I was walking about in boots all the time, so I didn't need to worry about breaking in my boots. Which I did. I'd be going tabbing up the hills. So everything was endurance, do you know what I mean? Everything was endurance based. I'd be going up the Pentlands doing the 5 peaks with my Bergen on, just training like an idiot 24/7 because I knew that so much of it was going to be physical.
How old were you when you done SAS Youth There's Wins?
30, I'm now 38, 36.
So you'd have been one of the older recruits,
Yeah.
presumably. And what was your first impression? See, when you met the other recruits, like
Yeah.
you sizing them up, going, "Oh, this cunt's not going to make it," and all that sort of stuff.
Nah, first, at Ultimate Hell Week, I was. SAS Who There's Wins, I didn't. Because I'm a great believer in it's again, there's it doesn't matter what size you are. You've got to want to be there. You're getting tilt, go milling. That's who you're fighting. Do it or don't. We're not here to motivate you. Do it or don't. You're going running up that hill. You're keeping up with us. If you can't keep up with us and you're spewing your hoop, which 2 or 3 of them did, to the point of where during one of the sickeners at the end of Aaliyah, she ended up taking a seizure with heat exhaustion. One of the cameramen get bitten by a snake.
Fuck's sake.
Ended up getting helivaced out. So it was, we were pulled because of the thunder. There was one bit where they were on a sanctuary, which you didn't see during the night. The thunder and lightning and the rain was that bad, it was vibrating the floor. I'd never felt I thought the Scottish weather was shite. Imagine the heat. Imagine being in an oven in a sweat room where rain that hard and thunder and lightning that hard that it was vibrating was. And we were out in the jungle doing a sentry. Like 4 or 5 of us up all night in the middle of the jungle, pitch black. And that's when they had to pull us because it was beginning to get like really... From a responsibility point of view for Channel 4.
Getting unsafe.
I was getting unsafe, aye.
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried about the snakes and that. I was like thinking, am I going to get electrocuted here? Because, it was mental. And to think these guys operate, they didn't get pulled. It's literally, they have to deal with that shit. Do you know what I mean? There's no safeguarding them. If they're in that shit, these SAS guys,
They just have
they have to
adapt.
figure out, which are phenomenal. Absolutely mental.
What about like because you had the experience before? Did you go in it thinking it's good to have allies? Like, were you going in with a more kind of teamwork mentality than maybe the first time?
Yeah, and I was giving everyone a chance. I mean, there was a guy, Ross, who spoke like this, and he was very, very posh and strong with. And then there was Pete, who was a fireman, and he was an ex-steroid guy, right? And he's been very open about it. Both lovely guys, but you're looking at, they've got nothing, and you're sitting thinking, Pete's about 6'4", 6'5", he's huge, massive guy. And then you've got Ross, who's a big lad, but he spoke like an Etonian. They're paired up. Ross dropped him, Pete smashed his knee. You're sitting thinking, if you looked at the two of them, Pete's winning. No, Ross literally dropped him like a sack of shit, hit his knee on the flare, smashed his knee up, had to get it operated on, back in. And Foxy turned round and Ross was trying to go up to him and say, are you okay? And he went, what do you do? Give him a kiss and a get well card. Get back to the fucking line. And that was the sort of attitude they had, do you know what I mean? And then I said to Ross, what's your background? And he went, I was a travelling gypsy. He says, now I'm a manager of Harrods Security. He says, but I was a travelling gypsy and I'm a black belt in fucking bare knuckle boxing. I was like, or some sort of martial arts. And I'm like,
jiu-jitsu maybe.
So you're looking at these guys and you're like, and then the funny thing is when I fought Daniel, I was told that I won, so I went to the line. I didn't have a clue what redemption meant. So we got, after this whole milling, right? Milling was, I loved it.
That's a scrap, basically for folk who don't know. Boxing.
Right, kicking shite at each other, which I'll be honest, I thought it was great. I'd never been exposed really to anything like that, in the sense that it wasn't technical boxing or technical karate, or there was no rules. It was literally kicking shite at each other. And then I got told, right, you're going to one side, you're the winner, you're the loser, and then we got back to the parade square. Right, does anyone want redemption? Does anyone want to kind of prove that they can beat?
Whoever they were against.
I put my hand up. Billy went, what you put your hand up for? He says, you won. Redemption, that means you want to redeem. Right. All right, we'll step up. So then I got Jordan, who was a female professional boxer. I was like, shame. She leathered me, black eye, so I lost it. So I've now leathered her. Battered her into the... And I'd never battered a lassie in my life, why would you? It's no right, it's no morally correct. And I remember Rudy saying, fucking kill her. So I'm banging. She got up and she was like, you're a... Why, aye, man, like, you're a canny fighter, like, you got a canny style, like, you know? And I'm like, you're right. She's like, aye, I'm fine. I'm like, I've just fucking paggered a lassie. I've never done that in my life. Oh, it was weird. And Rudy's gone, kill her.
Did they screen that? I can't remember.
No, they never screened that.
I'm not surprised.
Hey, I'm fucking battered Jordan, and then, but she battered me as well. And I've no qualms about saying that. She leathered me. I said that to her. She said, you got me a shiner, like both. And the murder ball, that was mental as well. I remember Levi. There's a picture of me and Levi. Levi, huge guy, for London. And I remember he fucking banged right into me. And I remember, I don't know whether he meant it or no, but he kneed me and then fucking punched me. My jaw literally came out of place. I went back into place. And I went to him after, you all right? And I went, no. I said, you've literally just dislocated my jaw in and out of place. And he was like, well, that's what happens. You just had to accept it. Do you know what I mean? There was no going to the medic and saying, can I have a wee, can you realign my jaw or something? It was literally just take it or leave it, and that was it. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever do anything like it again.
What was that the best experience then? The milling and the murder ball? Like,
murder ball, we went through the gas. That, I don't know what type of gas it is, but when your eyes are streaming, done that, I passed that task.
Is this like when it's like a hostage situation?
Aye. I would say the most fulfilling part and the hardest part was interrogation. You're sat there in your own thoughts with these things on, with the weirdest things gone through your ears. But by the end of it, I was saying that to somebody else, you end up treating it like a Now album back in the day. Do you know when you've got the first track, which is all right,
and then
6 and 7's shite, and then you get to the last track, and then you get the wee secret track. And then I remember them like, they lay you back, and you're getting this false sense of security thing, you're going to fall asleep. Now, next minute, it was like, boom! I was like, waking up, and then I stand, and you're putting your hands against your head, and then they're trying to pour water into your mouth. That was the only thing that was nice. Then I remember putting my hand up going, guard. And I think they thought I was going to quit. And I was like, I need a shite. So I put my hand on my head. And I'm like, how am I going to shite? So I dropped a number 2, which I wasn't having a shite. I pretended I was having a shite. I remember lifting the mask or the bag off just enough to look down whilst I'm having a fake number 2, thinking there's light. It was at that point I thought, it's daylight. I remember being on the running daylight, setting up camp, getting captured, Doug's barking at us, gone mental. I put my waterproofs on for some reason because it started raining. My old man, my absolute hero, was like, right, remember if it rains, keep yourself dry. I've put my waterproofs on. That'd be like putting your waterproofs on, stepping into a sauna. I was absolutely dying. I remember standing on the parade square, so we got captured. And then they've ran us. And then they've got us and they've sat us down and we're going down all these steps. We didn't know where we were going, but we were actually going back to our barracks. They're basically going back to our digs, but on the parade square, and we're stood there. Then they've got these dogs barking. I was sweating. Honestly, I thought I was going to die. Not because of the dogs, because I was literally sitting in waterproofs in 40-odd degree heat with humidity at 100%, and I was like, I didn't get what's worse. The interrogation of the fact that I'm sitting in my waterproofs in 40 degrees, absolutely sweating. And then I remember we got kind of filtered in. And then the interrogation, it was it was a guy that never got saw it. He wasn't really on it. It was an Asian guy.
So there was about 4 years at the end, was there?
Aye, that's right, mate. Aye. If I'm drifting off, just keep
No. Just because it'd be good for folk to know.
Aye, so basically, we got handed a cover story. And then this was when a lot of us for 4 years got through interrogation. And that was the 4 that got to the end. The rest were either binned or didn't get through. But it was pretty...
Just on the interrogation, like, you're fully isolated at that point, presumably.
That's
you can't
correct,
talk
aye.
to each other.
No.
And this pretend shite, did you try that a few times, or was that just a one-off?
That was a one-off.
Right.
Aye. But I was grateful every time they were like hoarding water down my throat. The one thing they couldn't deny you was water. So I was like, I need more water. Give me more water just to be able to stand and allow my arms to relax. It was playing a game. You were trying to be tactical. Do you know what I mean? And the cover story was hilarious. Like, it was about the Asian Schloll survey, AS. The AS survey. So I'm trying to hold myself together when I'm fucking getting asked, why are you here? So what we got told was, delay your cover story as long as you can. Just tell them anything. So I remember they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, I'm here with a group of friends. We're protecting the Asian Schloll, which is a deer. We want to make sure that the deer's protected, but it's a really unknown deer, so we need to kind of try and find it so we can find its dung and stuff like that. But I said, well, where are you staying? I said, oh, it's a great hotel. I went on about the hotel for about half an hour. I'm like, it's got a great gym, beds are lovely. And they're like, aye, but what made you come here? And I says, well, do you remember the sponsor of donkey adverts in the 90s when, or even just during the daytime TV, do you know, they're really sad. I saw the Asian Schloll on the TV and I thought, I want to protect that. So I said to my missus, can I go to Vietnam to protect the Asian Schlolls? Rather than sponsor it, I want to go and see the Asian Schlolls. And they're like, right. And they're like, and have you seen them yet? And I'm like, no, because they're so rare. I says, well, I can show you a picture, like. So what's the name of the people you were with? And it's funny, see, in the moment, I couldn't remember half the recruits. So I was like, there's Faye, there's Hales, there's Danica, and I couldn't remember 3 others. And I'm like, how can you not remember 3? Oh, they were playing with your heat constantly. Well, if you can't remember them, you're obviously not a very good friend. And then it was like, take all your clothes off, put your boiler suit on, take your socks off. And I was like, why am I need to take my socks off? So I took my socks off and I'm like, put your boots back on. That was the end of my feet. So you've got your feet that are absolutely fecked back into your leather boots. By the end of interrogation, I thought my feet were going to explode in my boots. That's the only way I could describe it.
Did you know? Do you have gangrene or gout or something?
I can't remember what I had, but jungle rot really bad.
Because there's like I seen it on YouTube and you're just like fucking bandaging
Oh,
them up or
bonkers.
whatever.
Aye. Sorry, 2 seconds. Got to grab
No, no, all good. Just on the interrogation there, just whilst you're taking a drink, like,
Yeah.
did he? It looks like to the outsider, right? I've watched I do like the show, like I've watched like most of the season. So, are they basically just trying to trigger you? Did he talk to you about that before it to say don't let yourself get triggered, like don't get angry, don't answer back, like,
Yeah.
try and play along, basically.
You can't win it. That's the one thing that I understood the first time about doing Ultimate Hell Week. There's no way you're going to beat the interrogator. Your job's not to beat them. Your job's to kind of try and and again, I'm under no illusion an expert, but for what I read of the situation, is you met the umpire. So rather than jump from ship to ship, you were captured. You were taken with whoever it was, the guards. You were then interrogated, or you were kind of stripped down and then interrogated. There was no way you were going to win it. So it was just a matter of trying to delay and delay and delay and delay. You were told if you could escape. You know what I mean? But there was how you escaped. You know what I mean? You had no sense. All your sensory were kind of depleted. Do you know what I mean? It was taken away from you. Headphones on, mask on, goggles on, stress positions. And that's why I wanted to go for a shite, because I thought, well, maybe they'll take the mask off me.
And you could have escaped, maybe.
Aye.
That's interesting. Nobody's escaped on the show yet, so maybe somebody could get a bash next time.
Well, actually, in the celebrity one in Australia, there was.
Somebody got away.
Aye, basically what they did was they hijacked the bus. So when they were getting taken off and on this bus, they pulled the mask off. And they basically tell the camera crew, you shut the fuck up, you're in control of the bus now. Told the bus driver, just out the road, and he took. So I suppose we could have done that. And if I'd thought about that, I mean, I didn't drive, I could have said to one of them, grab your nuts, or grab your hunkers, grab your foof for the females, and fucking honk it out. Let's go, let's do this. But, when you're in that moment and you're hearing all that weird music, you start tripping like it's mental.
How do you get through that, Grant? Did you have to just like meditate, like you were saying, that number one now song, like that does seem like one of the most difficult parts of the show.
Yeah, there's no real way getting through it other than just accepting
this will end at some
this
point.
Is going to end. You're not going to die. It's going to end. And I started playing games with myself. Like, when we were in stress positions, I started doing, like, Tabata intervals. So it was, like, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way down to 1, and then we'd relax for 10. But then they would start putting the knee into your back and pulling you straight. And so there was no escaping. So just whatever opportunity you had, if you had your hands up, they would pull you back a bit. So you would constantly, like, I'd be rocking my hands back and forward. I'd be listening to it, and there was like this trippy track that was a bit kind of like... I'd be kind of just trying to enjoy it. But then when the pigs started pumping, or the screaming went on, you were like, well, this is just going to be a shite 20 minutes. So I was just kind of thinking, I need to get to the end of this crap bitty track that's going on in my ear, and I want to hear the pigs pumping. Or I want to hear this trippy galactic outer space... But when the screaming came on, you just had to accept, right, well, we're going with that now. And if you got to lie down, you took it. Do you know what I mean?
You would go for a sleep if you could.
I would try and sleep.
Aye.
But then you knew what was going to happen. There was going to be this boom, 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 boom that would wake you up. So when I got taken out and we were put into the parade square, and it was Dulski and I can't remember what the female's interrogator's name was, put us in this box. And then they were going to start kind of like this drown box, basically had a hole in it, a coffin. Me and Faye went in. We kind of knew that was the time to
start talking.
Start talking. So we went in it, and I thought, right, we'll cooperate. Got in it, and then I remember Faye was freaking out, and I said that's when I was like, listen, we're part of the British military. Our life, I knew our life, if it was real, would have been in danger at this point. Do you know what I mean? So then we had to start cooperating. And we made the right choice. It would have been great to have seen. I remember Billy at the end of it, once I'd finished it and passed, he turned around and says, can I have a word? And I went, aye. He says, that interrogation. He says, your interrogation, your interviews, when you were getting interviewed by Dulski and that, so you could bore the shit out of Glass Eye, mate. So I've obviously done an alright job. I bored them that much that I kept delaying it. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it, but I just kept... I was talking shite.
It probably is a useful skill to have, like if you're ever in a situation like that.
And I'm good at talking shite.
it's non-confrontational, which is, I think, as soon as they start to feel like you're trying to wind them up, whatever, you can just see it. They just go fucking bush, don't they?
Yeah, that's it.
What about the directing staff? And you mentioned a few of them. Like, what was it like meeting them for the first time? And it looks as though subsequently you maybe went on to become like pals with them and stuff like that.
Yeah. I would say during it there was none of that. They were directing staff. You'd done what they said, and that was it. There was no getting pally with them. After it was just like completely different people. Rudy, I have a great respect for. He's just such a wonderful guy. He's American Special Forces. And I'm pretty sure some of the viewers will probably say, no, he's no Special Forces. For what I know, there's different tiers, and there's multiple. Like, there's only one tier in Britain, that's SAS or SDS. Whereas I think in America, there's multiple levels. So Rudy's I would suggest watching podcasts of Rudy. That guy's done his time. He's battle hardened, his time served, but he's just a nice guy. He's such a... straight after it, he was leaving me Instagram voice notes and just giving me a lot of constructive feedback, reminding me to remain humble, don't allow it to get to my head. But for the start, he had a feeling that I would get to the end. He says there was a hunger, there was a raw kind of feeling that he had, that he wanted me to get to the end. But he had no say in it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a matter he wanted me to get to the end, and he was going to get me there. It was a matter of, he just felt there was a wee fire in my belly. Foxy, met him a couple of times. Or actually, I went to see him at his show, which I would highly recommend going to, by the way. It was brilliant. His kind of talk that he does in the theatres. Met him at his book signing. And his book's great. Do you know what I mean? He's just a very... All of them are, in regards to life experience, are great. Chris, I've done the Great North Run with, so I've been keeping in touch with Chris. Billy, I've not really spoke to, but I think Billy's just Billy. Do you know what I mean? Billy done it. You got the best out of Billy when he was there, and that was it. But Chris, Rudy, Foxy, I would say that I've definitely stayed in touch with, and they're really helpful guys. They're dads, they're brothers, they're uncles, they're human beings at the end of the day.
Do you think... is their intention that they want to see everybody succeed, or do you think that they pinpoint people early and go, let's go hard on that person to get them out?
Yeah, I think they begin to see the triggers in the mirror rooms and stuff like that. I remember when I went into the mirror room for the interview with him. I mean, I was quite open, and it's something that I wanted to speak about, and I'm happy to speak about now, is that I'd battled with mental health issues. And I didn't know what was going on. And I was diagnosed at 35 with ADHD. And I wasn't one of the ones that I was kind of this new phenomenon, ADHD or ADD or neurodiversity. It wasn't as if I'd kind of heard it. It was just a matter of taking I would say it was a nervous breakdown, really. Ended up in the cells 2 nights, suicide suit on, because they were worried about my safety. And then I remember my mum saying, this isn't you, my missus at the time, Hayley, and good on them, do you know what I mean? Because it was hard for them to watch me decline, do you know what I mean? It was hard for Hayley, and it was hard for my mum, and it was hard for my dad, but there was something going on, do you know what I mean, with me? I was emotionally dysregulated, which is really normal for ADHD, and sensitive, I would say, memory retention, a lot of things that were losing things all the time. So there was so many factors, shame, all these things that kind of filtered up to me having this meltdown, taken into the cells. I was put on a diversion plan with the Procurator Fiscal, and then finally went to the doctor and says, listen, there's something not right here. And given the opportunity to speak to a mental health specialist, and says, listen, you've got ADHD. So in regards to that process with SAS Who Wins, as I said to them, it was a rebirth in the mirroring. And I think there was a level of empathy for them. They didn't show it, but I think they understood, right, other than this firecracker, that's the reason why he's 200 mile an hour. That's why when he's given 100%, he's given 100% because he wants to give 100%, but he's given 100% because when I'm in it and I go down that tunnel, that's what I'm doing. And when I'm in it, I'm in it. That's it. Which could be great.
Yeah, if you can channel it the right way.
Aye.
Yeah, but when you like, I'm the same. I've got an addictive personality, so once you start with the drink or the drugs or whatever, then you do that as well. You know, so
and I've been there as well. Yeah, I've been there with alcohol. Do you know what I mean? It's a demon. Do you know what I mean? And I often thought about this. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? People shame you for. I took a year of sobriety, and it was the best thing I'd done. And when I drink now, I can drink about 4 pints, and I know I have to stop. Because if I didn't, I wake up with the most horrendous anxiety. I call it hangxiety. I think that's a term. Hangover anxiety. You're like, oh. Whereas before, I could drink and drink and drink and drink. And it was almost like I prided myself on the fact that I could bevy. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
That's a Scottish thing. I think that's... we use it as like, it's like a crutch. It's like a pressure release, a valve. And it's seen as... I don't know, in this kind of, when you're with other men, if you can outlast them with a drink, you're kind of, you're proving your toughness, but you're doing a lot of damage internally. And I still do it now, I'm 37, it is just part of the culture here, unfortunately. So
if I didn't, you're in that hard place, and again, that's what I was saying in the mirror rooms, where it's that external pressure, and it's how you deal with that external pressure. Now I'm learning to be able to deal with it. But being unapologetically yourself is a very hard thing, and you've got this thing called imposter syndrome, and I don't think it's exclusive to ADHD. I think half of Scotland's got imposter syndrome. We try to pretend and have this facade to please other people. Living comfortably in your own skin's a very difficult thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Because you're constantly trying to fit the mould of the upper class, the lower class, the working class. The day I first went on the bins, Edinburgh Uni, Farquhar, McThompson, hi there, how are you doing? And I'm trying to talk like this, and I'm like, no, just be yourself. And now I'm just unapologetically myself, because I think, take me or leave me. You don't like me, kudos. Do you know what I mean? It's not that I don't want you to like me, but no, everyone's going to like you. And when we're drinking and we've got that false facade and that little bit more confidence about us, I think it's a dangerous thing, quite frankly, because you're sitting having to think, right, well, I'm going to have to get duped to be that person. I don't have to get duped to be that person. And if people feel uncomfortable and have to get drunk to be around me, what to sing Donald Where's Your Trousers on the karaoke or busting a couple of Michael Jackson moves on the dance floor, which I'm not great at, but I try. That's me, and I just want to do it. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy it. I enjoy just being me now. I'll have a couple of beers. But I don't need to go out and have absolutely loads. And I would like to think that men go through that and men especially. You know what I mean? I'm not to say it's exclusive to men, but there's a lot of pressure on Scottish men. And I talk about Scottish men. When I lived in Newcastle, that was an eye opener. The bevy culture down there, North East England. Jesus Christ, they can drink. But it's because that's what's done. Do you know what I mean? And you have to drink because they're all fucking men. Nah, they want to drink, then you drink. Go running up the Pentlands. That's a manly thing to do. Go to the gym on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. That's a manly thing to do. Get out and test yourself. You know what I mean? That's facing your fears. I commend anyone that comes off alcohol. Well done to you if you've done it, because it's a scary reality to go to a wedding and no drink. And I've been there. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting there sober as a judge, but do you know the great thing is you're sitting there like a sadistic little shit when everyone's hungover, going...
I've done it once at a wedding, to be fair, and it was all right, like you say. I never had any issues. Like, I actually felt I was quite proud of myself. I was at the wedding, I went up and I was dancing, whatever else, and I was having the same conversations I would have. But I only did it for like 3 months or something, and then I thought, do you know what? I'm actually prefer to have a drink and not to have it. And it's different, obviously, for every person. Do you know what I mean? It's no one path, and it's no a linear path. You might verge off and go different directions. I think that's fair enough.
I think it's feeling unfulfilled, quite frankly. I think so many people feel so unfulfilled, and I've fulfilled. I'm very good, and I'm good with myself now. I've fulfilled so much. But what I want to say is that I think people feel the need to reach such a, and I hope people don't find this arrogant. I've done well in the sense that I got to the end of that SAS Who Dares Wins. What does that define? That defines a personal victory for me. But the reality of it is I've seen people that didn't get to the end of these things, and I've said to them, I know how it feels, no getting to the end of something. Ultimate Hell Week. And it can consume you. And if you're no getting to the end of these things and you're no winning at that level now, there's that peer pressure with social media, peer pressure for external factors, like the drinking, you know what I mean? Your mate's telling you to drink. Do you know what I mean? Even when it's an all or nothing culture now. Do you know what I mean? If you're running a marathon, you've got to complete the marathon, then you've got to do it in a sub 3. I'm at that point where I'm quite comfortable. And people could say, well, you've done well in SAS with theirs wins. But what does that mean? Do you know what I mean? What does that actually mean? I've done well and I know I've done well, but the reality of it is there's a lot more to fulfil in life. And I think it's filling that void. And a lot of these SAS guys, I've said it, I've spoke to a couple of SAS guys, Chris, Colin McLaughlin. A lot of them feel unfulfilled when they leave the military, and it's trying to fill that void. What's ever going to fill that void? You know what I mean? It's just picking a wee task. If you're going to run your 5K, that's a big victory. You know, be happy with that. Not everything needs to be immediate validation. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're touching on a lot of stuff that's important. Like my philosophy more recently has been, see if I'm just a wee bit better than I was yesterday, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
You can always be nicer, you can always be kinder, you can always just pick up the phone to somebody and just have a conversation. Like that's a good gesture for me. Like if you're probably putting out some good energy if you do something like that. And it doesn't matter, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to, like you're saying, I wouldn't compare myself to you. Like you're a super fitness freak, your levels of fitness are much better than mine. So if I'm doing a 5K, can I do better than my previous 5K? And even if it's no, well, you've still done a 5K. Like it's still reasonable. Like you don't need to be a super achiever, especially for people who've had a hard year. If you've made it through the year and you're a wee bit better than you were last, cool. Like well done. That's enough.
Yeah, and I think it's about admitting your weaknesses and exposing yourself to these weaknesses. I remember when it was that scene where we were going through the market, the flea market on the SAS with theirs wins. We were given a bit of downtime to we got this manual, right? It was like a book, and it was about the rules of engagement, the Geneva Convention, and basically the rules of war. I fucking had a meltdown. Right? I was like, oh my God. I mean, recently at my work, or my old work at Gosforth Leisure Centre, I mean, I'm happy to admit I needed a scribe, I needed a prompt, I needed a reader, I needed extra time. I have very low self-esteem when it comes to academics. So there was Faye on the show that had to help me. I looked at this book and I was like, I can't remember all this. That's what it was about, teamwork. I said, listen, I am freaking out here. There is no way I can read that book. First of all, I'm dyslexic, and in my head, I started going down the rabbit hole. Like, I'm stupid. I left school with nothing. I had to get a scribe at school. I had to get a prompt to school. I went to they called it the Dunce's base, basically, right? I've got very, very little self-confidence in regards to academic, and I admit that. Do you know what I mean? That's a big part of these guys in the special forces. Do you know what I mean? They've got to have a high IQ. It's not that I'm stupid. It's just there was not a learning style that suited me. And give fair due, she came up. She went, calm down. Everything's fine. We're going to bullet point. And out of that book, there's going to be about 10 things. Out of the 20 bazillion words in that book, there's going to be about 10 bullet points that we need. And that's all you need to remember. And we went through that, and I thought, wow, bloody hell. So, you know what I mean? That was a scary, scary moment for me. Not the trapeze, not the interrogation. It was trying to remember.
And asking for help, probably.
And asking for help.
Aye.
And now, since then, I'm so glad. I mean, when I went to Gosforth Leisure Centre in Newcastle, my boss, Sarah, my boss, Cal, all say is it was a very neurodiverse working environment. Multiple, and it doesn't matter who they were, I'll not mention them, but 2 or 3 of them had high functioning autism. A lot of them had ADHD, a lot of them had bipolar. So we all knew how each other felt. And I passed multiple exams, but I had to have Sarah help me. She had to sit with me and be my scribe, my prompt and my reader. So it wasn't the information that I found difficult to digest. It was subtracting that information from a course manual that size and trying to navigate it. And with ADHD, I just started like, and that's how now looking back at my school, I know how I failed everything, because it was literally read that, do it. There was no help to navigate through that book or have strategies or that dopamine deficiency, getting bored. How can I engage and find a way or a tool to have memory retention and remember all these things to go into that exam? And my recent job was absolutely phenomenal with that. Do you know what I mean? My boss Sarah would come in every Saturday on her day off and sit with me for 2 or 3 hours, and we'd go through it. And we get through that coursework. I think a lot of employers, I'm not suggesting managers do on their day off, but that selflessness to be able to help me. Because if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have passed that course. But it was asking for that help and putting out there and saying, listen, it's there, I just need the help.
I think there's software as well that they can use for stuff like that now as well, which is good, because I've worked with that before. I've helped to install it on somebody's machine.
Right, okay.
But we've done just over an hour, Grant. So, aye.
Wow.
Just like the sweet spot, I think. But I'll ask you one more question straight. I think you did do really well on the show.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed watching you, and I think you've got a great personality. So, what's the dream going forward? Like, what do you want to do? If you're here, are you going to do more fitness stuff, or are you going to be the top binman in Edinburgh and Lowlands?
Well, I want to be Edinburgh's top bin man, obviously. I'm keeping up with my fitness. I'm not going to... I don't know what I'm going to do in the fitness-wise. I think it's very diluted, the fitness industry now. It's humongously overpopulated. I think there is such a massive margin for individuals for a further decade in regards to ADHD, autism. I think I need to go on a journey to helping people that have been underdiagnosed for years, and I would like to give them the reassurance that there is help out there, and I need to find that help for myself, because I'm still learning. So I'm on a journey with my ADHD now. Do you know what I mean? I'm on a journey, a self-discovery, trying to figure out strategies to better my quality of learning, living, self-esteem, confidence. And once I've mastered that, I want to help other people. And their fitness will be a great part of that. But I think it's about life coaching them. Do you know what I mean? I think it's coaching them in their life and doing what we're doing, podcasts and talking about it and reassuring them. SAS Woodairs winner Grant Flynn 2022 Jungle Hell. Great, aye, he's fit as fuck. But he still thinks he's a dipshit. I'm a human being. I still have uncertainty, and I still have anxiety around my academic ability, and it's finding employers and going into employers like NatWest the other week there, I done a talk for them and explaining to their staff, listen, we don't maybe have the solution yet, but you're not alone, and employers have a responsibility, and it's no their fault that they don't know what they're doing, because they've not been educated, but something needs to change, because you've got a demographic of people that have got ADHD, that are creative, they're hungry, they've got acute hyper focus, and if used in the right environments, can be very useful. And I think we need to get that out of employers, and we need to get that the best out of people with ADHD, rather than putting a label on them and saying you've got ADHD and this is what you can't do. You've got ADHD and this is what you can do, and positively reinforcing that they're not alone, and that there is use for all of us with ADHD. We just need to find that market.
Oh, you're selling it to me anyway, and I'm sure there is a network out there for that. So hopefully, if they get in touch with you through Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, and maybe you can come back and tell us once you've done it, Grant.
Will do, mate.
Right, mate, that was amazing. I really appreciate you coming in, buddy.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me.
No problem.
Trooper.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.